reporting earlier in the week was that the Russians were preparing to launch an RS-26. And this might explain why there is some quibbling over what kind of missile was launched, because that is a missile that, first of all, the program was supposed to have been paused in 2017. So it's an interesting question of, have they brought one out of storage, or have they repurposed something else? But the point is, you're talking about a missile with a range of, around 5,000 or more kilometers. The reason RS-26 might lead to that uncertainty is that it was originally declared as an intercontinental ballistic missile, so a range of more than 5,500 kilometers. However, as it was developed, a lot of its trials were much shorter than that, 3,000 kilometers, and people generally assessed that it was being brought in as a sneaky way to breach the terms of the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, the INF Treaty. And so the theory was, it's being called an ICBM, but in truth, it's only really capable of going, around 5,000 kilometers, and it's an INF cheat. So if the RS-26 was used, that would explain why Zelensky said it's got the characteristics of an ICBM, but a US official is saying it's not an ICBM. In both cases, you're talking about a missile with a range way beyond any of that seen in this conflict so far, and possibly the first ever use in combat of an IRB or definitely an ICBM. Why might you use it, therefore? Signaling. Signaling to the Ukrainians, we've got stuff that outranges you. But really, signaling to the West, we're happy to enter into a competition around intermediate range ballistic missiles. PS, these could be nuclear tipped. Do you really want to take that risk? And so there's a degree of, if you like, fear-mongering. I'm a little bit wary of saying, like, oh, it definitely won't change the course of the war, but it doesn't add much to the battlefield at the moment. If it turns out they have lots of spare, as it were, ICBMs that they then conventionally armed, it wouldn't be pleasant to be on the receiving end of those, but that seems less plausible at the moment than a much more logical ramping up of other ballistic missile attacks. I think what will be worrying is if it turns out that they have a intermediate or even just a medium range ballistic missile in much larger quantities than expected, because they can put that out of range of pretty much anything. Well, they could launch it from the middle of Russia if they wanted, and then it would be out of range of even Ukrainian long-range drones.